Okay, let's go.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Snaggin Night Live. It is Thursday, May 1st. Hope everybody's had a fantastic week. I know it's been a week of Mondays for me.
Yeah. And it's May already. Oh my gosh.
Good gracious. Where has the time gone?
May we go back to April?
Turn back the hands of time just a few hours.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But
so what?
You know what May means?
I do know what May means.
It means you need to cut your hay or you'll have no hay. But it also means that there's the spawn, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Absolutely. Talk about and we're going to talk about, hey Creole, what's going on? We'll say hello to everybody in just a minute. But talk a little bit about the spawn, what happens. I'm sure everybody in here is an angler and is already familiar with it, but for those that come up and watch this show later on that aren't as familiar with the spawn, give you a little bit of information, maybe some tips, tricks, and techniques on what you can do to try to catch some catfish during the spawn. And then we'll I have pinned the link to the top of the chat if anybody wants to pop up and talk about the spawn and maybe what they might do or what they do when it's that time of year to try to find the fish. So awesome. Anybody is welcome to come up as long as you're willing to talk about the spawn and what your techniques might be. We are more than happy to have you up here with us and chit chat for a little while. Really quick, I do want to say, I'm sure everybody's aware now that watched Chad's, I guess, mini live before or earlier this evening, where the bait shop is going to take a bit of a hiatus. And Austin and I have talked about it, and as of this time, we're not gonna move back an hour. We're just gonna keep our 9 o'clock time slot, unless there's somebody that we want to bring up that 8 o'clock works better for them. But I think 9 o'clock works better for us. And so we're just going to keep that time slot 9 to 10 and keep moving forward. So if anybody else wants to try to fill in the gaps where the bait shop was, like I said, I don't know how long they're going to be out, if they're going to come back. I hope they do. I really do. I know they're all busy. Life tends to do that to folks. I know. Oh, somebody cracking the door behind me. Fire chief. Come on in.
Hey, Landon.
You say hi to everybody.
Hey, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. And he's out. He brought me a Diet Dr. Pepper. Wasn't that nice of him?
If you like Diet Dr. Pepper, it sure was. Yes.
But yeah. So if anybody, like I said, I don't know if they're gonna come back. I know they're busy. I know Freddie and Chris are working really hard with their businesses, trying to get products sold and eyes on their products and stuff like that. Brian, who knows what Brian's doing? It's going to be football season. It's coming up, so he'll be watching football.
He's got another birthday party to go
to. How many grandmas does that man have?
As much as it takes. I work with a guy that's got at least 8 of them.
Wow!
Because they've all tragically passed away, so he's got to take time off for each, But hey,
of course, then Miss D just had surgery, and they moved into a new house. So life.
Life.
I'm not going to say gets in the way, but it happens.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so I just wanted to let everybody know we're going to stick to our 9 o'clock time slot. I know everybody always enjoys watching live videos or live shows and stuff during the week. So if anybody wants to come up and try to do something while the bait shop is on hiatus, I'm sure they wouldn't mind. But anyway,
especially if
so it's had a chat real quick.
Yeah, especially if you're actually fishing. That'd be a perfect time
Absolutely.
slot. That's a good time for you to go fishing, to go live.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, and just a quick plug, real quick. Sean did put out a short video a little while ago. If you want to go watch that, we had somebody reach out to us, a company for chicken feed. So if anybody wants to go watch that, Sean's hilarious. He definitely has a personality for the camera. So I was gonna say for radio, but a face for radio.
That's what his face is for, yeah.
But yeah, go check that out. It's a pretty good video. So
you want to say hi to some people?
Absolutely. We got Sampy, Mike Sampson. How you doing? Always one of the first ones in our chat. Thank you so much for all your support, buddy. Can't wait to see you again in a couple weeks. Kevin Hendrickson saying, hey, everyone. There's Joshua Perham saying, what's up, Dustin, Austin, and Chet?
Hey, Joshua.
Crappie Day Darren saying, hello, good people. Fist bump. There's a Catfish Cowboy, formerly known as 1 Pound Dustin. What's going on, buddy?
What's up?
There's BurritoeCatfishingLady Lisa saying hello to Dustin and Austin. Oh, my bad. Austin.
Hey, Lisa.
Let's see. Catch fish with us. What's going on, Chris? Speaking of Chris and V, I bought my raffle tickets for that Monopoly board that Miss V made.
Oh, there you go.
So hopefully the odds are pretty good right now. Because there's not very many people that are not very many people, as far as I know, that have put into the raffle. But if you're interested, Trophy Seeker, there's Daryl's Cash App and PayPal right there scrolling across the bottom of the screen. You can hit him up. I think it's $10 a ticket. And that goes, let's see, do I still have that media asset on here? Yes, I do. They're raffling off this Monopoly board that Miss V made and then burned. So it's all the pieces on the inside.
Very cool.
So it's $10 a ticket, and they're going to be doing the drawing at the gathering, which is not next week, but the week after. So I'll leave the Cash App and his PayPal scrolling across the bottom. If you do use PayPal, just know that it's going to D Morris Precision Cabinets. That's a horrible name for a PayPal account because it's so long and so many letters.
Yeah, it is.
But it's going to come up with Kenneth. It's going to come up as Kenneth Morris when you look at it. So don't get confused. That is him. It's D Morris Precision Cabinets at yahoo.com comes up with Kenneth Morris. So
never even built a cabinet. That's the funny part.
That's Creole Catfishing. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, Jeremy?
Let's see. Bobcat Outdoors saying good evening, catfish freaks.
Hey, Bob.
Here's our good friend Greg Burgess from Louisiana saying hello, Dustin, Austin, and my brothers.
Hello, my friend.
Buddy? Randy, old gray hair Swain saying hello.
What's up, Randy?
Miss Lisa saying, ugh, Bobcat. Come on, Lisa. Be nice to Bobcat. There's 3 nights. What's going on, buddy? Oh, there you go.
What's up, Don? Yeah.
That's one way to get around the catfishing.
It's a fun way.
If you're into sharks.
Oh, they're cool. They're cool.
Never caught one.
Really?
Nope. The only saltwater fish I've ever caught is that skate I caught down at Virginia Beach. That was the first time I've ever fished saltwater.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've caught a few sharks. Not as many as Jeremy, obviously, but yeah.
Well, when the sharks share the water with the catfish, you're usually fishing for them.
Yeah, he's definitely more susceptible to catching them.
There's JG Hill Studio. What's going on, JG? Hope you're doing well.
Hey, buddy.
Let's see. Bobcat said, "I rest my bumping arm during the spawn."
There you go.
How's anybody from Tennessee? Let me know what the oh, look at that. I love Diet Dr. Pepper, says Kevin from Palmetto Cats.
What's up, Kevin?
Speaking of Kevin from Palmetto Cats, go check out fatboyrigs.com. Get yourself some Fatboy rigs. I guarantee they work. I didn't know this, but Kevin made an Instagram post of the catfish that I caught. So I was we were fishing the tournament last weekend, and Sean and I had another friend on the boat, one of Sean's friends on the boat. He had never caught a catfish before, so we had the 3 smaller rods out, but we also had our regular catfish rods casted away from the boat. And probably about we were catching 2 or 3, I think 2 or 3 or 4 blues in that one spot over by the channel markers. And so I tied up a Fatboy rig. I said, I guarantee you when this goes in the water, I'll pull out a flathead with this thing. 5 minutes later, I pulled out a 10-pound flathead. That was the only flathead we caught all day on the flasher rig.
That flasher rig has brought in a lot of flatheads for both of us.
Absolutely.
Something.
So if you want to go target some flatheads, I would go to fatboyrigs.com, or you can go to F.O.A. customsandgear.com. Use code TSW10 or Fever10, save yourself 10%. But you can get the Fatboy rigs there. If you want flatheads, I would say get that flasher rig. It is definitely worth it.
Yep.
All right, let's see. I know I'm way behind in chat. John Boy's catfishing. What's going on?
What's up, John Boys?
But I built a reputation, so everybody expects it now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Nobody in here is expecting anything less from you, buddy.
Set the bar low, right?
All right.
Let's see. It's like the guy that calls into work with same grandfather. Yep, exactly. Frio said, I've had to step away from 2 different...
Oh, sorry. I didn't know you.
2 different live shows over the years because life got too busy. It's tough, but family first is always the right choice. Absolutely.
Yep.
I agree 100%.
All right, my turn.
Okay.
Kevin says he's going to start an 8 o'clock show that makes fun of the bait shop. Why not? Why not?
Hey, I think it'd be a great show.
It would.
Mission Discover, welcome in. How you doing? Let's see, John Boys.
Rubber Rat 3030. Hey, Ernest.
What's up, Ernest? Got the big guns in here tonight.
205 Wild Action. What's up, buddy?
All right, 205. Can't wait to see you again at the gathering. You are coming to the gathering. I think I'd asked him that a week before.
Yeah, I think he said he'd be there. There's Gregory Lemon.
Cool. What's up, Gregory? Your dad doing a show tomorrow night?
He said, did you see my DHA short on YouTube yet, Dustin?
I did not. Man, I'm slacking.
We'll have to check it out.
When it comes to YouTube. but I would definitely check it out. I'm still trying to work on the floors upstairs. I did more demolition last night. I still got to pull a little bit more carpet out of Landon's room before I can lay the rest of the flooring. So it's been a bit hectic over here at my house. My hallway is a fire hazard. I'm sure the fire marshal would write me up if they came up to my upstairs.
Probably. Hey, V.
Bobcat says, I'm going to come up eating mac and cheese.
Stonefly, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, Stonefly?
Hey,
Sampy said we'll be there Saturday. Sorry,
Stonefly, did you ever get that rig that I sent you? Let me know. Oh, there he said. Never mind. Got the rig on mine. Cool. Sweet.
Speaking of Rap, was that the one you gave away?
Yep.
Yeah, I had a couple of people win some TSW bait towels that I never got anything from. I had to go back and remember who they were so I can reach out to you. But I've got them here. Just let me know.
Hey, there's butterflies and sunshine.
Miss Linda, welcome in. Good evening. Glad to see you this evening.
I'm speed reading chat to see who.
JG said we had this talk with Daryl about the email. What email are you talking about? I must have missed something.
When we were talking about the PayPal and the whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Well, wait, we are so far behind. There's our good friend Doug from Rebel River Cats. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Doug.
Oh, Doug, he's been fishing the live fishing league, hoping he gets on a good bite sooner than later. Hope the Midnight Madness is good for him because that's his normal window of fishing. That's he's more used to that than a lot of people.
Yeah, Sean and I have already talked about that. We've already got a plan in place how we're gonna to work the Midnight Madness, where we're gonna go, how we're gonna fish. I'm excited, looking forward to it.
Oh yeah. There's our good friend Catfish Dog Tim. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Tim?
We are so far behind.
That's okay. We were talking. That's what this show's for, right?
I know. There you go. There's
Kevin. It's Kevin's favorite show or favorite tournament.
All right, we're caught up.
Kevin, make sure you bring the toothpicks.
Okay. I was
like that madness for his eyes, yeah.
Yeah.
Or bring a substitute host, you know. Yeah. All right.
So first order of business, the spawn. Right. A lot of people hang up their stuff in the spawn, take a break, go after different species. I usually continue to fish for catfish. I just change up a couple things that I do and lower my expectations. That's kind of what you do too, Dustin, right? Kind of.
Yep.
Just adapt. Try to adapt. Yeah. My PB actually came from right as the spawn started. Like I swear, like within hours of the spawn starting is when I caught my PB. And I say that because that was that same in that video where I caught the 30-pounder on the Amish assassin that laid all their eggs in my boat.
Yep.
That was, so she must have been just, she was ready to lay eggs, you know. I just caught her right there at that last minute. And then basically the same exact thing. It was a decent sized bait, really close to the bank, with a lot of debris. And then the 59 came like 50 yards down the river from that 30. But
yeah,
that was That was pretty much like right now, the first week of May or so.
So what in your experience, I know for those of you that don't know, that are watching, that aren't familiar with what the spawn is, it's when the catfish start laying their eggs,
Yep.
and then protecting their nest. So the females lay the eggs, and then the males will stay with the eggs and protect the nest for a couple of weeks and not do much of anything else but fend off other predators. So it is a bit harder to catch catfish during the spawn, but there are techniques that you can use that can prove successful during the spawn. So, and another thing when it comes to the spawn, depending on what kind of catfish you're targeting, channel cats, blues, or flatheads, they all can spawn at different times. And even if it's the same species as or the same breed like blues, just because they might start spawning it at now, I mean, the blues could take up to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever, and could all start spawning different times throughout those 3 weeks. So
Yep.
it's not like every fish just goes and lays their eggs and the males just sit there for 2 weeks in the entire body of water.
Yep. That's nature's way of, they spawn in stages. That's nature's way of, preserving the species. If you had some crazy event happen where, it just did something really bad to the water or changed the conditions crazy, then you wouldn't have an entire generation killed off. So they go on in stages. I honestly think that on the James, um, I I'm pretty sure that we have a spawn that lasts like a month and a half or so, and it's just different. It's just, I think it's fish that are either spawning twice, or maybe there's just that big of a population of fish, and it takes that much time for all those fish to do it in stages, because like I swear from early, like first, second week of May, and then pretty much till like, mid June or even late June, it can be kind of rough if you're not going to catch numbers of big fish more than likely. If you do, then you really found them. But we get fish with spawning marks for a while. Once the spawn starts. So I think, like I said, I don't know if it's the sheer number of fish or if it's just those water temperatures stay pretty consistent, May and June, and it allows them to maybe spawn more than once. I don't know, but it can pretty. May is usually better for me than June is. June's a rough month because I think the flatheads will start to spawn at that time too. So now you've got multiple species that are in the spawn. Because right now the flatheads are not.
And so one of the I think the trigger for sorry, put my hand right there. The trigger for the spawn is water temperature.
Yeah.
So and consistent water temperatures, and usually between 70 and 80 degrees is when they start their spawning activities. And when I was out on the river last week, the water temp had just reached, so it was at 70.4. So
yeah, I think
that's right.
I think they've said, or at least I've heard or I've read that like the ideal water temperature is like 74 degrees, 74, 75 degrees is ideal. But obviously they can do it in a window.
Right.
So
And again, for those of you that are watching that haven't ever dealt with a spawn before, the males do not eat during the time of, typically do not eat anything when they're protecting the nest for that couple of weeks. And the females typically don't do anything while they're preparing. So that's why the bite's a lot harder, is because they're really not actively feeding.
Instinctually, they're focused on having the babies,
right, and protecting them.
Yeah. And but if you can get out when the conditions are right and whatever, but obviously you have a pre-spawn bite, and there's a lot of places in the country that are still dealing with a pre-spawn bite, like what JG said. Their spawn usually doesn't start till closer to June, so they're probably going through a decent pre-spawn bite, I would imagine. But it'll be very evident when the spawn starts, if you're out there consistently.
There could also be a I'm trying to think of the word, not a faux spawn, but something where the water temperature gets to their ideal conditions and then drops again.
Yeah.
Can cause them to go into that spawning activity, but not actually do anything.
Yeah.
So I know some people talk about that, where, say it's maybe like this week, say the water temperature was that's between that 70 and 74 temperature range. And what's up, Jody? Bill Reddick, thank you all for coming in.
Hey.
Excuse me. And then say something happens and a cold front moves through, and you get some colder rain out west that comes from the mountains and cools everything off and drops it below 70 again. Well, they're already in that spawning phase, but I do not believe they go through with it. I think once the water temperature warms up again and gets consistent again, I think they then they will actually spawn. But that can actually lengthen the time in which the bite is harder or more difficult. Yep. I know we've had that here on the James a couple of times in the last. Well, I think it happened last year. Because the bite got really hard at one point, and it was earlier than we expected. But then it lasted longer than we thought it would. So, everybody's saying hello to Mr. John Parker. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate everybody coming in this evening. If anybody wants to click on that link and come up here and talk about what you do during the spawn, any techniques that you might use to try to entice the bite, I'm really interested to see. I will not stop talking about the flashers, the flasher rigs, and the flashers themselves. When it comes to the flathead bite, I'm really interested to see how those are going to work through the spawn and see if they're more of an attractant.
I was interested in the same thing. Sorry, I was looking at something on my phone, but Mrs. Fever and I plan on going out tomorrow evening, as the kids are going to be at the grandparents' house, so it's date night. Nice. So we're going to go catfishing. But I think I might plan on well, anyways, I got a couple of flasher rigs tied on, so I'm very curious to see what happens. I think that'll be my first time fishing with the flasher rig at night too.
I have not fished with them at night yet. John Boys, thanks for coming in, man. Hope you have a good evening.
Hey, John,
going to bed. 205 Wild Action said, "You better make it count."
Did you see that comment?
No, I did not.
Bill Reddick Outdoors, congratulations on your silver play button. And then I was just looking at it on my phone. Yeah. Bill Reddick's got 200 some odd thousand subscribers now.
That's
Heck
awesome.
yeah. That is awesome, Bill.
Congratulations.
That is awesome. And we're like the only ones that have a Bill Reddick hat.
And a shirt.
And a shirt.
Look at you go.
That is amazing, Bill. I always he always posts like 10 videos, and then me and my wife will watch all 10 of them in a row and catch up on them, you know. And it's like binge watching. We'll binge watch some Bill Reddick. But anyways, congratulations, Bill. Very
Absolutely.
Cool. Doug says he's going to hit the river this weekend.
Yep.
Interesting. But
River Rat Ernest said, "I love F.O.A. bank sticker hooks. They will stick them."
Yep, they sure will. F.O.A. has a well, I don't know. Never mind. I shouldn't say anything. Dang it. I don't know what Freddie's going to want to do, but sorry. They might have they might have a new thing coming, maybe. So just keep your eye out.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
What's your favorite technique to use during the spawn?
When I know that I am knee deep in the spawn, my favorite technique to use is to suspend drift. And you kind of know, okay, a lot of the bigger fish are busy right now, so my expectations go down as far as that. So I will usually downsize a little bit, either 6-aught or 8-aught hooks, and you know that now that's the perfect time. Like if you don't mind using chicken or whatever, but if you want to suspend drift some chicken, you can absolutely slay a lot of good eater size fish. You know, it's a fun time to fish. It's a good time for the kids, because you can specifically go out there and target the smaller fish, and not feel like you're just I don't want to say wasting your time, but like not feel like you're missing out on the big fish. The big fish are busy. So
Right.
But I think suspend drifting is probably my favorite technique to use when I know that I'm in the spawn. But you never know. Like that they don't, obviously, like we've said it, they don't all spawn at the same time. So like Ed Evans said, fish how you normally fish, and time on the water is going to be the key with that. But one thing I haven't typically done very much of in the spawn is dragging baits. I don't know why. I just haven't really done a whole lot of that when I know that it's the spawn. I think might do a little more of that this year, just out of curiosity.
I think in general, I think the spawn is a great time just for moving baits in general, whether you're suspend drifting, dragging, whatever. Just take the bait to them instead of waiting for them to come to you.
Yep.
I know a lot of people that are that like to drag baits just in general, because that's where they feel like they have the best success when they're playing offense, right? What's up, ladies? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Mark, I saw you sneak in here. How you doing, buddy? But yeah, I think whether you're suspend drifting or dragging baits, and you can do both at the same time.
You can.
But I think that's key when the spawn is on, trying to cover as much water as possible, put the bait in front of as many fish as possible.
Yep.
I do know that Sean's favorite technique right now is dragging baits. excuse me, we've been successful anchor fishing in the past, but we started dragging baits. I think, I mean, we had a pretty consistent bite last week. Not on the short rods, because the short rods are right there under the boat. Not much we could do about that. But when we casted the longer rods out, I think we caught 8 to 10. Biggest one was only 16 pounds, but we were on the fish. But the biggest one we caught, the 16-pounder, we caught when we started dragging, and we were only dragging for like 3 minutes when it hit.
There you go.
So, let's see. Greg Bird has Dustin. What advice you have for bank fishing?
The whole thing, I'd probably, like I said earlier, it'd probably be a good idea to downsize a little bit. It all depends on what you want, though. I mean, like if you want to go out there and just have fun catching fish, or if you're looking for eater size fish, then I would definitely downsize your baits. Because the little fish that aren't spawning, it's not like they're going into any kind of dormant. Like if you find them, they will feed heavy. There's no issue with them. So, but you're going to want to downsize for that. If you want to luck into a big one during the spawn, then you just a large amount of time on the water would probably be your best bet, and I would if I was bank fishing going for a big fish during the spawn, I would only let my baits sit in there for I don't know, it depends, but let's say normally you let them sit for an hour and then you check your baits. I would probably reel them up at a half an hour and relocate them, change baits and relocate them, because that way, let's say you've got a fish that's spawning, or a male or a female that's getting ready to come off, or whatever, and they're in this specific spot. If you're not getting any bites, you're going to want to move your baits, maybe cast them further or shorter or more to the right or whatever, but if you're going for big fish, move your baits more often. If you're going for small fish, downsize.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially the same technique. I mean, you're not dragging baits, but you're still moving baits, right?
Yes.
And I think what Austin said a little bit ago is key. And I think we'll do something else for you. And what that is I just had it in my head and it just escaped me. Good Lord, I'm getting old, man.
Bless you.
Anyway, you said it a little bit ago, but downsize your baits, and I think when you get into the smaller fish, it's going to build your confidence, which is key. So, what's up, Jeff Beal? And also know that catfish species reach sexual maturity at different ages, but anywhere between 2 to 7 years or 3 to 6 years. So you got those newer the younger catfish that are 2, 3, 4, 5 years old that haven't reached sexual maturity yet. So they're out there feeding up when because there's no competition for them at that point, right? When all the bigger fish are on the beds, then they can go out and it's like the parents aren't allowed at the buffet and just let the kids loose.
Yep. It's like a bunch of kids at the trampoline park. Chuck E. Cheese.
You may have one of those parents out there on the trampolines with them, but the majority of them are at home taking care of everything else.
Yep, we're sitting on the bench.
But yeah, so like I said, I think moving baits is the whatever way you do that is key when the spawn is on.
Yep. Like JG said, dude, I mean, you might not have to actually hit them on the head, but you're going to want to get pretty close. I think, I mean, honestly, I think if you have a male that's guarding, guarding a nest, guarding his children, and if you put a bait right there, where inside of his protective radius, he's gonna mess with it at least somewhat. He's gonna smack it. He's gonna, maybe just bite it so he can bring it further away or whatever. He might not be trying to actively feed, but he'll probably bite onto that bait just so he can get it the heck out of there. And so That's another thing, though. So if you're in that situation, you're going to want to keep an eye on your rods. You're probably not going to get like a massive takedown in that situation. You'll see the line maybe moving. You'll just see the line move, and and I tell you what, is if you've got a decent bait on the bottom or out there, and you see that line moving, and it's moving and it's moving, and it's very obvious that a fish has a hold of it, you're going to regret it if you don't reel down on that fish, because more than likely he's going to drop that bait before he takes it down, in my opinion. So if he's carrying it for what I would say a while, like it's very obvious, go ahead and reel down on it, because the regret from reeling down on it and him not being there is a lot easier to deal with than the regret that you didn't reel down on that fish. That's all I got to say.
Absolutely. 205 Wild Accent said presentation is key. Yep, absolutely. And Mark's saying the only time he catches eater-sized flatheads is during the spawn. It's strange. That's when all the kids are out to play.
It makes sense, though. It makes sense in a way.
Then 205 agrees with you. Watch your lines like a hawk.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dang, it's not a, what else? What else can we add to this, Dustin? Because the spawn is pretty, we can talk a lot about how we fish it on the James and then some general information, but the spawn is pretty different depending on where you're at, not just time of year, but fish population. So it affects how long the spawn is,
Well, this brings up a good question.
Go ahead.
Greg says, Austin, that's usually when I use Kell hooks. Would that be, I wonder if the spawn would be a good time to change the type of hook that you use.
Yep, a Kell hook or a straight J hook would be fine. Yeah, that's good. And I'm, what he's talking about is like if you're having to reel down on fish a lot more, or set the hook on them, right? So it makes perfect sense, Greg. I didn't really. I guess I'm too lazy to do that, but that's probably why I don't. But that is an excellent point, Greg.
So another thing too.
If you know you're in the spawn and you've got some J hooks or some Kell hooks, it's probably is a good idea to go ahead and tie those on.
So I know you say, I know we have said that moving baits is ideal, but you may find yourself anchoring up because something's going on where you can't move, right? Like whether the wind's pretty strong, wind comes up, you got to anchor, you got to find something. We know that one of your newest favorite rigs is the double float rig. We call that the Austin rig. Would you still use that in the spawn, or would you knock that down just to one float and get it closer to the bottom?
No, I don't think I would change that just because it was the spawn. If I was going for big fish, knowing that I'm in the spawn, but I would like to catch a big one, then I would keep it the same, because really the reason why I use the two floats is because it's paired up with a larger bait. So it's not like I'm using two floats with a little thumb size piece of chicken, then it's going to bring it way up, So it's really not. It's probably the difference between having like half of a gizzard shad, within 4 inches of the bottom, bring it up to, maybe 10 inches. So it's really not like it's that big of a difference, I don't think. But if I, and it's a good point that you brought up that more than likely, let's be honest, more than likely you're going to go out there and there's going to be some adverse conditions, and it's going to end up being just easier to double anchor, pick a spot and double anchor and sit there. But and I tell you what, in that case, it's not like it's the catfish when they spawn, they're not just picking some nice open area on the bottom of the river. They are spawning in the junk.
Yep.
And so fishing, if you're going to anchor up, fishing in some daggone structure, and you're probably going to lose some rigs, but you want to put that bait in the junk, or at least next to it. If you've got a pier or a bridge, this is a good time to be fishing like right behind the pylons. If you could sneak a bait right in there where the current breaks, or if you see, a lot of debris on the bottom, throw bait right in it, that kind of deal. Which, I mean, that goes for other times of year too, and that can work really any time of year. But these catfish, they're not just spawning in the middle of the channel where there's no structure or whatever. Like they're looking for a place. It's kind of like right. If you had to protect your kid, right, in an adverse, in a real life situation, and you had to pick between like the middle of a field or in a room where all you had to look out for was one direction, right? You didn't have to, you know what I mean? Like, so
yep.
I think the fish instinctually, they know or whatever. It's just instilled in them that it is safer for their babies if they have more structure around them, to where they don't have to fight something off from every single direction. Okay, so they're going to be having babies in some nasty looking places.
Yeah. And to that point, yeah, you're right. So I mean, you may want to put, if you typically have 6 rods fanned out across. So typically what we do, I know Austin and I, because we've been fishing a lot together, we do a lot of things similar. We fan our rods. We have one on the channel, one on the ledge, kind of one up on the top of the where the ledge drops, one on the flat, one closer to the bank, and then one near the bank, because you're spreading them all out. You may want to change what you're doing that, because you may want to put one on the ledge to see if you can catch any of those smaller traveling fish that are going back and forth. But a majority, if you're looking for anything of size, a majority of your fish, if they're spawning, are going to be up closer to the bank or in near structure, or in structure that's on the bottom of the river. So you may want to change your positioning too at the same time, when you're looking for everything else.
Yeah. Now, right, exactly. Instead of fanning your baits out, now you're gonna lose some rigs. That's gonna be the price that you pay for fishing this way. But yeah, that rhymed. But
oh, it didn't even know it.
Yeah, there you go. What was that guy? What that guy say? I'm a poet, and I didn't even know I could do that. But anyways, yeah, just stack those baits around that structure, if you can, or whatever,
And you can make yourself some. I mean, I wouldn't. I don't know. I mean, you can, if you're gonna fish the bottom, you can always make it as simple as possible, right? Hook, leader, weight, swivel, right? minimize the cost of the rig, because if you know if you're gonna snag up on things, minimize what you're throwing away.
That's very true.
You don't have to get fancy with it.
That is very true. Very true. Although, on the other hand, if you're trying to irritate a fish that's, that basically the only way you're going to get that fish to bite is if you irritate them. So there's some noise on that rig might help with that. But I mean, you can make a simple rig, like you can, a couple of beads and a rattle, you're not out a whole lot of money there.
Right. I just wouldn't use a Nina Ninja or a bigger spook of any sorts. I'd use the foam floats if you're going to use floats. Or like you said, like the boogie beads or whatever, something to separate them, and then put the bullet rattle on there or the Versa rattle on there.
Yeah, yep.
And then F.O.A. makes two different sizes of those bullet rattles. They make the bigger ones and then they make the smaller ones. So if you just want to add one of the smaller ones, of course, those are cheaper to get. That might be a good idea too. Greg Burgess said, I usually use different methods on the rods until I find the best. Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, well, I mean, when I go out fishing, if I have the luxury of having multiple types of bait, I'll try to put like 2 here of the same bait, 2 here of the same bait, kind of make different baits on my rods to see which ones are hitting. Because you're going to find out. You may go out one day and they're hitting gizzard shad, and they won't touch, say, white perch or bluegill or chicken. But then you go out the very next day, same time span, and they won't touch the gizzard shad. Yeah. They may only hit the white perch, or they may only hit the bluegill. And then the next day after that, they may not want any of it. So, but so you got to find the method that works the best, and then kind of change up what you're doing with everything else to match that.
Yep. Yeah, Matt said that a float, a bait under a float close to the bank is a very good, and that is true. Like, especially if you have a lot of riprap or rocks. If you have a bank that's like, just all rock, then they'll definitely be up in there, but at least the medium size, the size fish that are maybe not ginormous necessarily, but big enough to spawn. And then JG was asking how to keep the float out there and not washing up on the bank. And actually, you can what you can do for that is you can use a sinker slide, put the main line through the sinker slide, and then tie that to a barrel swivel. Okay, so you're going to have a weight on that sinker slide, but then tie that above your barrel swivel, and then from your barrel swivel, you can make a leader that's like 8 foot long, but about 4 foot away from that is where you would put the float. So assuming that you're fishing close to the bank and it's, within 2 to 4 foot deep, then you would, barrel swivel, then like 4 foot, then a float, and then under the float, you could suspend a bait. And that would allow you to cast, let's say from the bank, you want to get about 10 foot off of the bank or whatever. You could cast to that point, and the weight on the sinker slide will keep it there, but then you reel up tight to where you feel the barrel swivel hit the sinker slide, and that will allow now the float will come up, and the current will be taking it away, but the float will come up and you'll have a bait suspended underneath the float, but it won't be drawn by the current all the way up against the bank.
Right.
It's kind of a lot going on there, but that's a really good way to keep bait staggered on the bank. I just thought it was a good question. I've never really explained that before. I used to do that a lot when I fished off the bank, but anyways.
Great explanation.
Well, thank you.
Greg was saying this is the first year he's going to be out fishing for trophy fish. He's changing his technique because he knows they're out there. They are definitely out there in your area, in your neck of the woods. We have seen them. Let's see, JG. Oh, Matt was saying, JG, you can rig it where the weights are on the bottom. Use a T-knot with a loop for the hook, like a drop shot rig. That way the bait doesn't hit the bank.
That's another good way.
JG's saying Matt and him will talk about it at the gathering. That's right. JG's going to the gathering. Small Water Charters. Good evening, John. Thanks for coming in. So I'm trying to see if we've missed any questions.
Yeah, I'm looking too.
JG said
Cool
thank you.
Oh, of course, buddy. There's Cool Cats. James, our buddy James.
What's up, bud? Hope you're doing well. I know James has got a surgery coming up here. I think it's soon. Oh, wow. Benoit said thunderstorms here for 7 days and 7 nights.
Yeah.
Goodness.
We're gonna get starting on Sunday. We're gonna get a few days in a row, I think. With some rain, anyways. I don't know how severe.
Matt says sounds biblical.
I know that's yeah. Good thinking. You better build an ark. Get on that ark.
James is like, not much. I caught a walleye this afternoon. 3.98 pounds, 21 inches long.
Very nice.
That's something. Well, if anybody got any more questions about the spawn or any techniques, or I think we covered a lot of good information in here this evening.
I think we did too. There's always something that after the show you're like, oh man, we should have, but I think we covered some decent points.
Greg said he's going to catch the ones that Creole misses.
There you go. There you go.
Benoit said the ark is ready. Anybody got any more questions about the spawn, techniques, gear? If as always, if anybody has any comments or suggestions or questions, you can always email me. Email us at teamsnaggingwhiskers@gmail.com. You can also leave a comment on this video. If you're watching it after tonight and there's a question you have, leave a comment on the video. We try to reply to every single comment that we get. Sometimes it's quite a few, but yeah, if you have any questions about anything we've said or anything that you think we might want to add next time we talk about this topic, yeah, feel free to leave it in the comments section or send us an email. We'll be happy to cover that, maybe in a community post or whatever, or a follow-up comment on the channel. But yeah, don't forget, we have and I know those that you are going, that it's hard to forget the gathering coming up. Not next week, but the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the 16th, 17th, and 18th of May. It's going to be a great time. Daryl does a great job of putting all this together. He's got a lot of awesome sponsors. All you got to do is spend money to get there. Everything there is free. Once you get there, the big fish competition that we do, the food that we eat, I think he's got to get it catered this year. He actually purchases some of tent camping sites closer to the bank. If you can't afford to get a spot or don't have one or didn't think about it till last minute, he has some sites that he pre-purchases so that people like that can still come and enjoy the gathering. It's a great time. There's a bunch of people with boats out there, typically the people that are from that area, and all you have to do is ask. Don't be shy. I know I've already got, let's see, I'm going out with Bobcat, going out with Lisa and Randy, going out with Kevin. If John and Dana are there, I'll probably go out with them again. For Shizzle, going out with him. So, I mean, that's already 5 that I can think of that have already offered to take me out. So, or we've talked about it at least. There may be some others that don't know we're going out fishing yet, but I'm sure they'll find out when I say, hey, let's go fishing.
Yeah. There you go.
But yeah. And as always, please go visit F.O.A. Use codes TSW10 or Fever10. Save yourself 10%. But again, you can get anything you need from bait fish to monster catfish. You can get using the gear you find on F.O.A.
Yep.
Again, Freddie and Nina are great people. It's a veteran-owned small business, and they do a fantastic. I mean, customer service is second to none. I know I prop them up and talk about them all the time, but I don't just do it to do it. You know, there's a reason behind it. And then if you need any other gear, you can also go check out River Cat's Tackle. There's some, I think 92210. That's the one I like to use just because it's numbers and it's easy to remember.
You got DSO10 too.
DSO10. But go check out them and check out the Ancient Mariner gear. And I know River Cat's Tackle has a rod that they have out on the market, and they also have a reel that I think will be coming out soon. But yeah, Swain 10. I forgot about that. Randy and Lisa are now also have their own code for River Cat's Tackle, Catch 10. There you go. Appreciate that. But yeah, go check out River Cat's Tackle. And I say that just because, well, I say that because I want to support their business as well. But we have been using Ancient Mariner reels here at TSW for pretty much the entirety of us being on YouTube. And, you know, Ancient Mariner has been a great partner with us. And he is now working closely with River Cat's Tackle. And you can get yourself some Ancient Mariner gear there. And use those codes there to save yourself some money. It's quality gear. We will not. I will personally not fish with any other reels other than Ancient Mariner reels. I probably got 12 of them now. I'm going to get some more. You can get the 6000s, which have 17 pounds of drag, and the Albatross has 40. So it's a huge step up. But yeah, go check them out. They got great gear. Both companies are fantastic people. Go help them out. You can get anything you need for catfishing from either one of or a combination of both of those websites and those businesses. But as always, if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, issues, please drop us a line at teamsnaggingwhiskers@gmail.com. We'll be happy to address any comments or questions that you may have. As always, Austin, thank you for coming up tonight.
Of course. Anytime.
And Mrs. Fever, thanks, Austin. Thank you for letting Austin come up tonight.
Oh, anytime.
And everybody in chat, thank you for coming in. Hope everybody has a fantastic week or had a fantastic week, has a phenomenal weekend. And we will see everybody same time here next week. Excuse me. Thank you all so much. And we will catch you next week.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.